Good evening, everyone. It's the Activated One, New Bright 10, the Futuritarian, breaking down the pheromones that mankind shoot out. Well, they shoot out these pheromones. It's sort of like a wolf pack. Wolf pack, dogs, horses, zebras. They run in packs. So the reason why they smell that way because it's a different genetic, and they also shoot out a pheromone. That's why when you see them a lot, when I go out and I go to certain spots, and I'll see them in packs. They're in packs. They're actually feeling better when they're in a pack, and I've noticed that because when they're in distress or they come around a bronze person, a copper being. When they come around, they shoot off a pheromone. Now, the pheromone is fight or flight. It's a fight or flight pheromone. So they shoot it out because it's a gas that comes out their pores. That's why they smell like that. They have a unique smell to them. They have a unique smell to them because they are from the animal kingdom. That's where they're from. They're from the animal kingdom, from the genetics being mixed with ours and being mixed with the animals. Now, when you look at this picture, see, I don't even know if that's a horse. That might be a donkey or something like that. But then you got the dog, because some animals are bisexual. They mess with other animals. That's where you get the liger, the lion and the tiger. You get the liger, and you get certain different dogs, a breeding process, because that's in their genetics. So when they were being homosexuals back in ancient Greek and in Rome, when they were being homosexuals, because it's in their genetics. So they kept it a secret for as long as they could, especially back in those times, in those ancient times. They used to have certain gatherings. I mean, it's still going on today, but they used to have certain gatherings where they would go and perform homosexual acts. That's the animal genetic in them. Now, all so-called white people, East Indians, Asians, so forth, they are all not homosexuals. But there's a large population of them that a lot of them are still in secrecy. There's a lot of them that came out the so-called closet, but there's a lot of them still in secrecy. And when you're dealing with the animal genetic, that genetic it shoots out a pheromone whenever they feel like they're in danger, or they feel intimidated, or they feel like it's the fight or flight. So when you come around them and they're they shoot out the pheromones, you can't really smell it when they have their perfume on, their cologne, their conditioner, because conditioner wasn't for so-called black people. Conditioner is for mankind. That's what conditioner is really for, because when they wash their hair with just regular soap, the soap, the pheromones that they shoot out, it overrides the soap too fast. So they had to come out with something that'll keep that smell in lock, which was conditioner. Because when you're dealing with the so-called black race, we don't need conditioner. Our skin is automatically oil. I mean, it shoots out a secretion of oil to keep your scalp moist and to keep your scalp hydrated, as far as dandruff, flakes. So when they run out of conditioner, they have to go get conditioner because it doesn't sit that long when they just use soap. That's why they came out with conditioner, because conditioner can lock it in there for hours, and it overrides the pheromones that they shoot out, which smells like a dog. And some people used to say, when white people, so-called white people, will come back in from the rain, they were like, "You smell like a wet dog," because all that conditioner that they had in their hair got rinsed out. That was helping block the scent. So all that conditioner got rinsed out when they were in the rain. So when they come back in, then you can smell the genetics in them. You can smell the dog, the canine, the horse genetics that are in there, that are in them, in their DNA. So that's one reason why when they go out when it's raining and they come back in, they smell like a wet dog. I mean, sometimes their perfume and their cologne and stuff lasts for a long time. But if you take that away from them, if you take their perfume, their cologne, their conditioners from them, then you will smell them on a consistent basis. They will smell like when you go to the zoo and you get around the monkeys and the gorillas, and they got that strong odor that's shooting out, that pheromone that's shooting out, and you smell it. That's what they would smell like. So even back in the ancient days, when we would hunt them down, when they would break the law, they would, because one thing about mankind, they were the first savages on the planet. As far what I mean by savages, I mean by the ones that were breaking laws. They weren't following the laws. They would come down into the cities. It's just like the so-called black race today. When they go up into these stores, they steal, they want to post up, sell drugs, be a whole damn menace to society. That's who they were back in the day. So when we had to go hunt them down, it was so easy to find them because their pheromones were shooting out because they were in fear. Anytime they get emotional, they shoot out a pheromone. And it smells like a dog and a horse because that's what they genetically was spliced with, the dog and a horse. So it would be so easy to find them because we could smell them. They'll be hiding behind a tree, and you just like, man, they sitting over there. Why, man? Because the wind was, as soon as that wind blew towards us, we'd be like, man, they over there. Because we the ones that taught them about hygiene. Hygiene. What does hygiene mean? It means hiding your genetics. Hygiene, hiding your genetics. So they have to hide the real aspect of their genetics through conditioners, perfume, cologne. I'm not saying that it's not good to smell good and, keep yourself clean. I'm not saying that, because majority of the so-called black race, we can go into the shower, we can use regular soap or some organic soap, and we will be good even if we don't put no deodorant on, right? You might smell a stench, like halfway through the day. You like, oh shoot, I didn't put no deodorant on. See, their process is quicker. When they go into the shower, it'll be 2 or 3 hours later, you're already smelling their pheromones, because it shoots out just like an animal's pheromones. It shoots out. Whenever they get emotional, they shoot out the pheromones. And dealing with the some of their babies being born. Why is that? Why is some of the babies being born with tails? Being born with horns. I was looking at a brother's video the other day. He was breaking down the horns and the tails, and I was just like, I already knew about it, but it just came back to me in the forefront. And yet, some of them, why none of the so-called humans, mankind, are talking about their babies getting their tails cut off? You know why? Because one thing about mankind, they're good in keeping secrets. I will give them that. They'll keep a secret until the casket drop. I give them that. They do know how to keep secrets. And that's one thing about, give me one sec. That's one thing about, all right. Got a phone and two laptops. I mean, two phones and a laptop. But that's the thing about um, they know how to keep a secret. It's one thing they know how to do is keep a secret. But that's why when they would go, like I said before, when they would go out into the rain and they didn't have an umbrella, and then when they would come back into the rain is because the perfume and the conditioner and the cologne rinsed off their body. So then that's why when they came inside, you like, damn, you smell like a wet dog. Because that's how dogs smell like when they come inside. So the whole goal for them is to hide their genes. That's where the word hygiene comes from. They're hiding their genetics. Hide genes. What's the gene? The book of Genesis is nothing but the book of genetics. Adam and Eve is mankind, the first ones. The first ones was the Africans. That's who Adam and Eve was the Africans. That's why it's called hygiene, because they're hiding their genetics. They're putting a conditioner cloak over the smell that what they smell like. Now, if it comes to a point where there's no deodorant, no cologne, no perfume, their pheromones will be so strong. You could come into a room and one person that is from mankind, that whole house will be consumed with that smell. That's how strong that their pheromones is, because they always feed off of emotions. Every time they get emotional, they shoot out a gas. It's a pheromone gas that comes through their pores that smells like the dog and the horse. So that's why they smell like that, because it's a genetics. That's why they're trying to hide their genes. It's hygiene. They're hiding their genes. That's why I said, man, we back on the planet. Ain't can't nothing be hidden no more. So now the reason why the so-called black race is getting banged on so hard, one of the reasons why is because y'all ain't the same. Just because you can have a baby with somebody doesn't mean you're the same. You got fruit, right? You got a banana, an apple. They're all fruit, but they're different fruits. So when they come out with these babies, come out with these tails, and then it's automatic quick surgery. They're automatically trying to cut that off for the embarrassing factor. That's embarrassing. That's an embarrassing factor. If you come out and you have a tail your whole life, then that's just letting everybody know that, you know, who's the real monkeys here. Who's the real monkeys? Who's the real gorillas? It's like in the movie The Planet of the Apes. Who's the real gorillas and monkeys on this planet? You know, because every time I go on the internet and I see somebody posting something with tails, you don't see no bronze people, no copper coated people with no tails, with no horns coming out their head, with extended fingernails that just grow like tree bark. You don't see none of that, right? Because it's a genetic thing. It's always going to go back to genetics. That's why you got this. That's why I got this picture right here with this. I think it's a donkey or a mule, you know, kissing this dog, because that's in their genetics also. Being homosexuals, being lesbians, that's in their genetics also. And one thing about the so-called black race, even when we first came on the planet, we wasn't even on nothing like that. On that savagery. Because if you're gonna be a homosexual and you're gonna be a lesbian, and that's what you choose to do, go power to you. Good luck. All power to you on that. But when you're starting to push it and trying to make people subconsciously be stuck in that homo that homo energy that's being pushed right now, then that's a different thing. The only reason why they're pushing that right now, because they know that their time is coming up short. That's why they're pushing it. They want to make you be like them. They don't want you to be activated. They don't want you to activate your junk DNA. They don't want you to have your mind going past these doctrines and these books out here and all this old stuff that's in the past. Always going back. The people that's going backwards, they're not in the future. They're going to fade away. It is what it is. You always going backwards, looking for something, going into the library, this and that. Like if you ain't doing research, because research means you're researching someone. Read can be a receiver, or read can be somebody doing something over and over again. Researching. So when you're researching, if it doesn't have to deal with anything that has to deal with like I said in my other videos, because I keep saying the same thing, because it's just like the media keeps pushing stuff into people's head. So you have to keep saying the same thing and keep pushing it in people's head, man, to get the right ones in the future. So that's what the media does. It keeps pushing it. Mind activation, getting your DNA activated. Getting your DNA activated, getting your mind activated, so you start seeing the world in a different aspect. And these people that are mankind, they don't want that. And there's some so-called black people on the planet that don't want that either. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that either. They like the way the world is. They like their jobs, working for a corpse oration. But they don't know, man, because they don't know. Like, yeah, you living your good life right now, you know, getting your little 60,000, 80,000, 100,000 a year, whatever you do, whatever floats your boat to feed your family. But in the long term, because when you're dealing with 13 billion years, your little lifetime at this point doesn't really mean nothing unless you're moving people forward for the future. Because there's only going to be certain ones that's going to go into the future. A lot of y'all finished. It is what it is. So that's why I got the horse right here, or the horse, the donkey, or the dog, or whatever it is. Because that's why it's called hygiene. Because they want to hide their genes. It's real simple. See, all this stuff was put in codes. The whole world is codes and numbers. This whole planet is built on codes and numbers. Why do you think the internet came out? Why do you think the internet came out? You think the internet came out for you to make money? Long term, futuristically. No, the internet came out to get the certain ones activated, to get the message out worldwide. The world web, which is the world grid. The world web is the artificial world grid. The world grid is the portals. So that's a real quick video on mankind, the hygiene genetics, their pheromones that they shoot out when they get in fear. When they come in a room, if they see one so-called black person in the room, they're automatically trying to gather recon to see what your mind's at, where your mind's at mentally. They want to see where you at mentally, because they know that just you being in the room, it's like the brightness. The light and the brightness is just shining in that room. So they got to see where your mind's at mentally so they can feel comfortable, so their pheromones go down. That's why conditioner came out. Because it puts their pheromones in a condition where you don't smell it. So what's the activated one? New, bright 10, the Futuritarian.